All right, let's dive into Altria's latest earnings call. The one behind Marlboro, Their Q4 2024. Kind of felt like a mixed bag, honestly. We're going to break it all down for you, though. Not just the headlines, but like the really important stuff. Big picture trends, the future of nicotine, the whole fight for it. And we've even got a crazy trade idea. It just might work. But disclaimer, of course.
Yeah.
Not financial advice.
Well, Altria's really at a crossroads right now. It's pretty fascinating. They had a really solid year financially, beat those earnings expectations, rewarded shareholders too, over $10.2 billion in dividends and buybacks. But at the same time, they've got some serious challenges ahead, with smoking declining and all these smoke-free alternatives popping up.
It's almost like they're running two marathons at once. One in the old tobacco market and one in this new smoke-free world. And they're doing pretty well in both, at least financially. So how are they pulling it off?
Well, a few key things. First, their pricing power is incredible, even with inflation and everything. People are still paying a premium for Marlboro. Second, they've been super disciplined with their costs, squeezing every penny they can out of operations. And third, they've been diversifying their portfolio. Smartly, I think. Investing in all these smoke-free products. Vapes, oral nicotine pouches, even heated tobacco.
And the diversification, it seems to be working, right? I mean, they said nearly 28 million adults are using smoke-free alternatives. That's a lot of people, almost as many as the adult smoker population.
Yeah, that shift to smoke-free products is huge, a massive trend. And Altria is definitely trying to capitalize on it, but it's not all smooth sailing. They've got some big hurdles. One of the biggest is that illicit market. It's growing like crazy, especially those illegal disposable vapes.
It's got a double-edged sword, huh? On one hand, the popularity of smoke-free, it shows how much potential Altria has for the future. But then on the other hand, they're going up against all these cheap, unregulated products, flooding the market.
Exactly. It's a really complex situation, especially with regulations. Altria is working with regulators, sure, trying to crack down on the illicit market, but they're also trying to offer compelling legal alternatives and innovate. It's a tough battle.
Speaking of battles, Altria's big e-cigarette brand, NJOY, they just got hit with a pretty big setback. The International Trade Commission ruled against them in a patent dispute with JUUL. They might have to pull their ACE product off the market.
Yeah, that's a big blow. To Altria's e-cigarette ambitions, NJOY was their big bet, especially after they got those FDA marketing orders for their menthol vapes. Now they might have to withdraw their most popular product. Definitely a step back.
It's a tough break. They were making good progress in the e-cigarette market.
But it's not all bad news. For Altria's smoke-free stuff, their oral nicotine pouch brand, Onlon, is doing really well. They said it's profitable now for the first time. And it's gaining market share, even with all the competition. In oral tobacco, Altria is a bright spot for them. It's a unique product, and it's clearly working for consumers. Plus, they're going to introduce a new product called On, PLUS, in the U.S. Once it gets authorized, that could really boost their market share even more.
That's interesting. Sounds like Altria is trying to cover all their bases when it comes to smoke-free products, vapes, pouches, and they're even moving ahead with heated tobacco in the U.S. Through their joint venture with JT, they're really going all in on this smoke-free future.
Absolutely. Heated tobacco is another huge potential market. And Altria, they're well-positioned to be a leader. Their partnership with JT gives them the technology and the know-how they need to succeed. Of course, there are some regulatory hurdles. We'll have to wait and see how quickly they can get these products out there to market. It's really interesting how Altria is using their old business to fuel the new one, using that cash flow from Marlboro to fund this whole transition to a smoke-free future.
But Marlboro's facing some challenges too, right? What about inflation? Aren't people switching to cheaper cigarettes? Those discount brands?
That's a good point. The premium cigarette market, it's definitely under pressure. But Altria, they're being strategic about it. They're focusing on keeping Marlboro smokers loyal, maintaining that brand loyalty, while also being careful with their pricing. They don't want to lose those core customers, but they also have to stay competitive in a market where price matters.
So they're walking a tightrope, trying to get the most out of Marlboro, while also getting ready for a future where it might not be the top dog anymore. It's a tough balancing act.
Exactly. It just goes to show that even the biggest brands aren't immune to market forces. Altria gets that, and they're making changes to make sure they succeed in the long run.
It's a classic disruption story, isn't it? The whole tobacco industry, it's changing so much. And Altria is right in the middle of it. But they're not just reacting. They're trying to shape the future.
Yeah, and what's impressive is how willing they are to adapt, to evolve. They're embracing new technology, exploring new markets, investing a lot in research and development, always looking for the next big thing. In the nicotine world.
So it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. They want to lead the pack.
Exactly, and their guidance reflects that. For 2025, they're projecting earnings growth.
Yeah.
Of 2% to 5%, which is pretty good, considering all the challenges they're facing.
That's a good sign that they're confident.
Yeah, and they're still committed to giving back to shareholders. They announced a new share buyback program, $1 billion, and their dividend history is amazing.
Yeah, they're known for those dividends.
Definitely appealing to investors who want that income.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Altria's financials, their smoke-free strategy, the challenges, and what they see for the future. But before we wrap up, time for our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
Ah, yes. Time to let those imaginations run wild.
Exactly. So let's just imagine, hypothetically, that Altria decides to go all in on innovation. It makes a big acquisition.
I'm listening.
Picture this. Altria buys a cutting-edge cannabis vape company.
Now that would shake things up.
Right. They could use their distribution network, their marketing skills, their knowledge of regulations to jump into a really fast-growing market.
It would definitely change the game. But it's also risky. Cannabis is still pretty new, and it's got its own challenges.
Of course. This is all hypothetical, just exploring possibilities. But it's interesting to think about how Altria might evolve in the coming years.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that in business, anything is possible.
Just to be super clear, though, that cannabis vape idea, completely hypothetical, just having some fun with the what ifs.
Right, exactly. This is not financial advice. We're just two podcasters who like to dig into these earnings calls and see what we can find.
Yeah, we just want to give you some insights and information.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the decisions are all yours.
Do your own research, think about how much risk you're comfortable with, and maybe talk to a financial advisor before you make any big moves.
And remember, the market changes all the time. Yeah. What looks good today might not look so good tomorrow.
That's why it's so important to stay informed, keep learning, and be ready to adapt, go with the flow.
And never invest more than you can afford to lose. That's like the golden rule of investing.
Absolute golden rule.
Okay, so that wraps up our deep dive into Altria's Q4 2024 earnings call. We covered their financials, their smoke-free strategy, and even threw in a little brainstorming for fun.
Hope you found it helpful and maybe got you thinking.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep on diving deep.